the FIA just dropped the biggest surprise of the Barcelona test, and has Charles Leclerc completely stunned. Because the fastest car on track wasn't Red Bull, wasn't Mercedes, it was Lewis Hamilton in a Ferrari. And the evidence the FIA just published proves it wasn't a fluke. It was real. Over 400 laps. Fastest time of the week. No failures. And the craziest part? Hamilton's car wasn't even in final spec. Now Leclerc is asking questions. The paddock is in shock. And if this new Ferrari is already beating everyone, what happens when they turn it all the way up? It was supposed to be a quiet test. No media. No crowds. No live timing. Just 3 days of cold, silent laps in Barcelona. But inside the Ferrari garage, something was building. Whispers started when the lap counts came in. Then came the sector data. Then the final time sheets. And suddenly, the biggest story of the week wasn't about Red Bull's pace or Mercedes' new upgrades. It was about Lewis Hamilton. Because after months of doubt, after endless headlines about whether he still had it, he didn't just deliver a strong run. He delivered the fastest lap of the test. A 1 minute 16.3. On a tire that wasn't even the softest available. With fuel in the tank. In a car he had barely driven. And then, just when people started calling it a fluke, the FIA stepped in. They published the raw data. Power unit deployment. Throttle traces. Energy recovery flow. And it was all clean. No tricks. No simulation boost. No underweight setups. It was real. And the paddock wasn't ready for it. Especially Charles Leclerc. Because Hamilton didn't just beat the other teams. He beat his teammate in his first real test with Ferrari. From the outside, it looked like a normal testing session. 2 Ferraris on track. Clean laps. No red flags. No wild stunts. But inside the garage, this wasn't about chasing headlines. It was about control. Ferrari didn't bring their full package. No major aero updates. No extreme power settings. No last-minute upgrades flown in overnight. What they brought was the foundation. The SF-26 in its rawest, most unfinished version. And they handed it to Lewis Hamilton. Now remember, this was his first real test in red. New team, new steering wheel, new systems, new everything. Most drivers would take it slow, ease in, collect data, learn the feel. Hamilton did that and still went fastest. Here's where it gets even more wild. Ferrari confirmed that during Hamilton's fastest lap, he wasn't running full deployment. The hybrid unit was in a conservative mode, focused on efficiency and recovery, not raw power. And yet, he still clocked a 1 minute and 16.3 seconds. Compare that to Leclerc's best lap, a 1 minute and 16.6 seconds. On the same tire compound, Leclerc had more mileage, more familiarity, more track time. Hamilton had none of that, but the car responded. The balance was there, the grip was there, and most importantly, the confidence was there. And that's what caught Ferrari by surprise. Because Hamilton didn't just look fast, he looked comfortable. And when a driver like that finds comfort in a brand new machine, without pushing it to the limit, it's not just a good sign, it's a warning. Charles Leclerc has been Ferrari's golden hope for years. He knows the factory, he knows the team. He's lived through the pain of underperforming cars, and carried the pressure of the Tifosi on his back. But for the first time since joining the Scuderia, he's not the only one the car is being built around. Because now, he shares it with a 7-time world champion. And what happened in Barcelona made that very clear. Leclerc had a strong test. His feedback was clean. His pace was solid. He said, "The car is more nervous than last year, but I like that. It feels alive." But when Hamilton put in that lap, and the FIA confirmed it with hard data, something shifted. Leclerc's tone changed. He wasn't rattled, but he wasn't relaxed either. He spoke carefully, measured, more curious than confident, because Hamilton had just done in 2 sessions what Leclerc had spent 2 seasons trying to unlock. Trust in the car. No hesitation mid-corner. No lift in Sector 2. No corrections under braking. Just clean inputs and raw pace. And it wasn't just the lap time. It was the fact that Hamilton did it, with less setup time, in a new environment, with no margin for error. Now, Leclerc isn't just thinking about Red Bull. He's not thinking about Mercedes or Aston Martin. He's thinking about the other side of the garage. And that's where it gets fascinating, because Leclerc has always been the student. Quick, intelligent, emotionally sharp. But now, he's facing the professor. And the question heading into Bahrain is no longer, can Ferrari win? It's, Which one of them will lead the charge? The telemetry report dropped quietly. No flashy graphics, no interviews, just raw numbers. But buried in those numbers was the answer. Hamilton's deployment map, the graph that shows when and how energy is released from a hybrid system, was unlike anything else seen in Barcelona. Other teams showed spikes, drop-offs, compensations. Even top teams like Red Bull and Mercedes had inconsistencies in the way their power units managed electric output across the lap. But Hamilton's trace? Flat, stable, controlled. From turn 1 to turn 14, the SF-26 delivered power with surgical precision. No over-harvesting, no sudden torque dumps, just a seamless blend of internal combustion and electric drive. And it wasn't just clean, it was repeatable. On the laps before and after the fastest run, the same energy patterns appeared, which means it wasn't a one-lap wonder. It wasn't an accident. It was by design. And that's where the shock set in. Because this system, this level of balance, wasn't expected until mid-season. Not in February. Not in cold track conditions. Not in a car that hadn't even run its final upgrade package. And yet, there it was. Hamilton didn't just set the fastest time. He set the cleanest time. And for a team like Ferrari that's been chasing consistency for years, this was the moment they realized they may finally have it. Every team has spies, engineers posing as photographers, aerodynamicists watching pit exit, strategists timing sector splits by hand. But after Barcelona, they didn't need to guess, because the FIA's data confirmed what the stopwatch already suggested. Ferrari isn't just fast, they're efficient. And in 2026, efficiency is everything. This year's power units are a nightmare. The new hybrid systems are more powerful, but brutally complex. Energy recovery is inconsistent. Battery cooling is unpredictable. Throttle response under electric load is twitchy at best. Most teams are struggling to make their cars drivable, let alone quick. But Ferrari? Their data showed none of those issues. Lap after lap, the hybrid delivery was smooth. Torque output, predictable. Rear-end stability, unshaken. And here's what made it worse for the competition. They weren't even pushing. Hamilton's deployment map was in mid-power configuration. Not the most aggressive, not the most risky, just clean and safe, which means this wasn't Ferrari showing off. It was them cruising, and they still topped the charts. Word began spreading fast. At Red Bull, engineers were double-checking their simulations. At Mercedes, they started comparing Hamilton's throttle traces to Russell's. At Aston Martin, the suspension team went quiet, because nobody expected this. They expected Ferrari to be better, more stable, maybe quicker. But this was different. This was readiness. And that's what scares the grid the most. Because Ferrari isn't throwing everything into one-lap glory. They're building around stability, control, and repeatability. And if they've cracked that, they won't just win a few races. They'll be in it all year long. Leclerc has been the face of Ferrari since day one. The young talent, the long-term bet, the driver they built everything around. But now, there's a new force in red, Lewis Hamilton. And he's not just here for farewell tour. He's focused, he's efficient, and he's fast. Faster than Leclerc, on day one, in a car he barely knows, with a system he's still learning. And that's not just impressive, it's unsettling, because inside the garage, things are shifting. Team radios are quieter when Hamilton drives. The data engineers lean in closer. The strategy team watches his stints with a different kind of attention. And Leclerc sees it, he hears it, he feels it. Hamilton isn't just testing the car, he's testing the team, the structure, the culture. He's showing them what a championship mindset looks like. And Ferrari? They're listening. This doesn't mean Leclerc is out. Far from it. He's still one of the fastest drivers in the world. Still perfectly in tune with Maranello. Still the emotional center of the team. But now, he has a shadow. A teammate who's been there. Won it all. Seen every trick in the book and written a few himself. And the most dangerous part? Hamilton is comfortable. He's smiling. Laughing with mechanics. Calm in the briefings, lapping like he's driven this car for years. That kind of energy is rare, and if Leclerc doesn't find a way to match it, he might not just be fighting Verstappen this season. He might be fighting his own garage.